this interview that I have done with Dr. Frank. It was back in October. It was a really nice day out, and we couldn't get it was too loud outside because it was too windy. So we got a room at the library. And I want to thank the people at the Bandon Library. Very nice. Got us a room and allowed us to do the video in the room. And it was a good time. So I want to play that for you. And so here is my interview with Dr. Douglas Frank.
This is Rob Taylor, and we're sitting here today with Dr. Douglas Frank. We're going to be discussing the upcoming meeting that he has moving forward with in the Coos County work session that's happening tomorrow. That is Thursday, October 10th. And it's going to be happening at 9:30 in Coquille. We expect a Professor Grimmer to show up, but we don't know because he's backed out several other times. But if he does, we would love to hear his numbers, and we'd love to hear what he thinks is wrong with your numbers. What do you think he thinks is wrong?
He has picked out in particular one aspect of my work, and it's called a straw man. When you make an argument, you pick out your opponent's position, misrepresent it, and then attack that.
Yes.
That's called a straw man. And
Yes.
so he's picked out one aspect of my work, made a straw man of it, and attacked it and published a little paper on it, a white paper. And so I addressed his concerns, and I think basically he doesn't understand my work. He wrote it soon after my movie with Mr. Lindell came out. Mike Lindell made a documentary about me called Scientific Proof. It's about an hour long. And suddenly after that movie was made, 10 million people who knew who I was. And now everybody around the country, I haven't done anything but go around and help people since. And honestly, it just shows my naivete politically that I thought it was going to be 6 months long.
Yeah.
And here I am 4 years later. So
4 years later, it's amazing how that happens. I started doing stuff like this 30 years ago, and I'm moving forward. I think it's part of the fact that many people in this country have gotten lazy. They've gotten apathetic.
You think?
And I totally think. Yeah. And because of that apathy and what happened in 2020, I think people rose up, saw the election, saw the COVID mandates, and said, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. And I think that I wasn't the only lone guy on the corner screaming, is what I found.
I think you're exactly right. I think of how many mama bears saw what their kids were learning in school because of COVID.
Right.
And so it's like activated this whole army of mama bears. And then I call them super moms. And then the election happened, and right in your face, cheating all over the place.
Yes.
Okay. And nobody will address it. So that woke up a lot of people. And so people say to me, well, have we fixed it since 2020? No. And so, but what will happen for sure, there's going to be a massive amount of cheating again. So there'll be another whole chunk of the public that'll wake up. Will it be enough? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Do you think that, and I'm kind of leaping forward here, do you think that the presidential race, even if he actually gets the votes, they're going to take it from him in a cheat? Do you think it's that significant?
Oh, yeah. My favorite way of explaining this is I've been modeling elections my whole life. Since 1980, my first election. I'm 63. And I voted for Reagan, my first election, 1980. And ever since then, I've been predicting and using mathematics to predict elections. And I've been really accurate. I only missed one, and by 1%. And so I predicted that Trump was going to win in 2016, 13 months ahead of time.
Nice.
When there were 17 people in the primary, and I published all my math on all the social media. Hey, everybody, it's going to be Trump. Here's why. And everybody's like, you're crazy, But nope, he won. And so then people were very interested in what I had to say about 2020 because of that. So I came out with my predictions. I said the odds in 2016 were 2-1 that Trump was going to be the winner. In 2020, it was 20-1. And so I was posting those things on all my social media, and somebody posted and said, well, Dr. Frank, we hear there's going to be a lot of cheating. And I said, don't even worry about it. There's no way they could cheat enough. They'd have to stuff 15 million ballots. That's in writing a month before the election. Well, guess what happened? They stuffed 50 million ballots. And people say, Dr. Frank, you told them what to do. No, I didn't. They know what they're doing. This has been in the works for decades. This is it. So now in this election, people are saying, what's going to happen this time? Well, I can tell you one thing for sure. It's going to be a massive amount of cheating. Now, let me take you back for a second. In 2020, people forget that Trump was the president during the election.
Right.
So after the election, he ordered the Justice Department to do an investigation. And these Justice Department agents spread all over the country collecting gobs of evidence. I've been in skiff rooms with some of these guys.
Yes.
We have a lot of evidence. Trump had this in December of 2020. He didn't have two things. One, he didn't have the American people. We were caught in the head, like deer in the headlights. Because as you pointed out, we've been so apathetic for so long, so disengaged.
Yep.
Nobody knew what to do. We all knew something was wrong. We're all going, something's wrong. But what do we do? Well, we're so inexperienced at this, we didn't know what to. That's the first thing. The second thing is he didn't have one legislature that would stand up for him. And that's why I was called to the state of Pennsylvania. I was at the request of the legislature. I was working on their election as part of their audit. So that got me all involved in this. But the reason I brought up that story is because all Trump needed was one legislature to stand up and say, we're not going to certify because look at all the cheating. Okay, so think about it. Not one legislature would do that. What do you think is going to happen this time?
Right.
So let's take it as a given that there's going to be lots of cheating.
Yep.
Okay. So let's say Kamala wins. What's going to happen? The right's going to be angry. We're going to have contesting the election. And now that we're 4 years more experienced of being awake, I've got teams all over the country that will engage quickly, and so we're not so inexperienced. So that would be one interesting thing. Well, what if Trump wins? Okay, if he by some miracle is able to outperform the cheat. He's awesome, awesomely ahead in the polls, and it's like not even close. So if it's a real election, he's going to win. But like I said, I was so naive in 2020.
Why would it change?
Why? I said exactly. I'm not going to fall for that one again. So let's say that he does win. Well, then how many states do you think would jump up and say, "Oh, look at all this cheating. We can't certify." So no matter what, I think no matter which branch it takes, whether Kamala wins or Trump wins, there's going to be challenges to the election, and there will not be certified. So I think what will happen is it'll go to the 12th Amendment. The 12th Amendment of the Constitution says if either candidate doesn't get the 270 required by a certain amount of time, then it's one vote per state, and each legislature gets one vote, and it's decided a tie by the.
That would be great.
Well, you think, except remember what I told you about 2020? Not one legislature would come to Trump's aid.
Okay, but here's the thing that I think. They didn't come to his aid because wouldn't it be them admitting they're not doing their job by making sure those election voter rolls are not clean and admitting that there's fraud happening in their state? They don't want to do that. You know how politicians are. They don't want to admit that. And then for these, what were you just saying about how what was that last statement you made?
It doesn't matter which way it goes. Not a single legislature would stand with him.
Okay.
And I've met with the reddest legislatures in the country, and they don't like him.
If
don't like them.
Right, but if it came down to the fact that each legislature in each state would get a vote, aren't they mostly red states in this country?
Yeah, I could show
and they
you.
Would still go for him? Do you think?
I don't think they're gonna vote for him.
That would be interesting.
I mean, and the reason I say that is because not a single one of them would step up.
Yeah, but it would be different because
I agree.
I mean, it's kind of a different scenario. They're not admitting to anything. Yes. They're just saying, okay, well, here's our vote for Trump. So I don't know. It seems like it would be detrimental to Republicans who didn't vote for him and those state legislators.
I think you're being logical and rational, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because that's what I keep being logical and rational, and I keep expecting the world to behave logically and rationally, and here we are.
It doesn't, and it's getting worse every day.
Yes.